Come August, this garden will be filled with produce that will go to families in need in our community. That's right, we are hanging out at the kickoff for the Saskatoon Food Bank and Learning Center's Garden Patch. As you can see, community members are huddled around the tent, ready to receive their seeds and get planting. It's all coming up on today's show, which all starts right now. Later on the show, find out what cultural celebration brought 400 Saskatchewan students to Edie Fian High School, and members of Straight Up are giving back to a community that helped them escape gang life.
Creating local TV that matters to your community. Shaw TV, your local voice.
While we break ground here at the Food Bank Garden, not far away, Kiwanis Park is once again preparing for the Children's Festival. And as Simon Hyatt shows us, there are some big changes in store for this year's event.
It has become such a long-standing part of summers in our community that those who attended the Children's Festival as youngsters often now return as adults with their own kids. But even institutions aren't immune to change.
And we kind of really started looking at what we wanted to be, what we wanted to do for our community, and we decided one of the things that was really important to us was to have programming that was very inclusive and that really evolved to reflect Saskatoon, and that changes to reflect our changing community. So we took a few steps in that direction this year.
This year there will be more emphasis on Aboriginal programming, among other additions.
We have a Childhood Around the World venue, which is new as well, and we're working with Folk Fest and some of the newer communities in Saskatoon for childhood games played in other countries around the world, and we're going to play some of those games here. We have all French venue as well called Art Français.
Workshops by groups like Move and Soar and other performers will also allow attendees to be part of the action. And for the first time, the festival will feature a $10 flat festival pass, good for all entertainment, including the new outdoor stage beside the Vimy Memorial in Kiwanis Park.
We have a whole series of performances which tend to be more circus arts and street style performances going on. Lots of acrobatics, we have some aerial artists, we have the street circus, some acts that include fire and things that you just can't do in a tent.
And while the final touches are being put on the park in preparation for the festival, this will be its final year here in Kiwanis. Next season it shifts to the Kinsman Park area, which should provide a number of benefits.
It's a great fit because we will be right by the Potash Court Playland, which is the best park in town right now. And then ideally in the future, when the Children's Discovery Museum opens, we can partner with them and use that as an indoor space, and we can just kind of create this whole, I think that'll be a really great partnership between us and the Playland and the Children's Discovery Museum.
The festival runs June 4th through the 7th in Kiwanis Park. For tickets and information, visit potashcorpchildrensfestival.com. For Go on Shaw TV, I'm Simon Hyatt.
Last year, the Saskatoon Food Bank and Learning Center's Garden Patch brought in more than 20,000 pounds of produce for families here in our community. That is an impressive amount, Britt. Joining me is Britt McDonald. You can find her here at the garden pretty much any time of the summer. Britt, what are you looking forward to for this year's Garden Patch?
Well, you know, really this year, we love to be producing lots of vegetables. It's really important. We use techniques to try to, really have intensive vegetable production. Yeah. But really at the heart of the garden is that it's a living classroom. So it really is a place to come and learn and dig in and see what we're growing and see what we're doing.
I absolutely love that, a living classroom, and that is 100% true because you invite community members to come down here and you'll give them some tips even.
Absolutely, actually, you can come anytime during our open hours, 8 to 2 Monday to Friday. Yeah. We're usually working with groups, but if you want to come do a self-guided tour that's great. If you want to actually work with the staff, ask questions, drop into Weeding Wednesday. It's a great time to just kind of dip your toe in, see what we're doing. Wednesday nights between 4 to 8 p.m., just drop in or check out our workshop schedule online. There's lots of workshops from how to build a rain barrel to how to compost, mostly on Saturdays and Wednesdays this year.
Perfect. And you can go to saskatoonfoodbank.org for all that information. Now, I love it. You announced today this is the 5th year that you've done the Adopt a Plot teams. Of course, Shaw has been a Adopt a Plot team for many, many years. We love coming down here. It seems like there's more and more groups every summer I come down here.
Absolutely. We get more and more interest in this. It's a great just community building activities. So we have over 52 teams representing 40 different organizations. So community groups, student groups, businesses, families. It's just a really great way for people to connect to the land, connect to growing, and meet new people and have fun.
And we are going to grow so much produce in this year's garden patch. I mean, you actually have a bit of a more efficient system going on. Tell us a bit about spin farming.
Well, actually, yeah. So we're using some of the principles developed by spin farming. So that's actually been developed right here in Saskatoon by a couple very innovative techniques. It's actually right across the world, designed to really help you grow the most amount of vegetables in an urban space that you can. So growing in an urban center is great because you get the heat island effect, you get maybe a longer frost date, you get a longer season. So it has so many virtues, but how then can you farm it intensively? How then can you garden intensively to get lots of vegetables? So spin farming.
Spin farming. We're learning something every time I come down to this garden patch, Britt. Finally, for community members, when is this all planning to wrap up?
Okay, so this, we're planning to wrap up the garden. It will probably be open until October for people to drop in and check out what's going on. We have workshops planned right until September. We're hoping that our Adopt the Plot teams wrap up in August, but that being said, people will be able to drop in all through the harvest season.
Cool. All right, well, I want to start getting my hands dirty, so we'll let you go, Britt. Thanks so much for chatting.
Thank you.
It's where you live. Shaw TV, your local voice.
Still to come, find out why a local author is receiving rave reviews for his latest work. And since today's show is coming to you from the Food Bank Garden Patch, Dutch Growers shows us how easy it is to add color to your home garden.
Punch TV is the nerdiest show in Saskatoon. If you like comics, movies, games, stellar events, and anything in geekdom, you'll love Punch TV. Host Jody Kaysen takes you in-depth with artists, writers, and guests from across the province, the world, heck, even the galaxy. Plus, regular updates from The Collector, The Movie Geek, and Tweetbeat. Watch Punch TV only on Shaw TV.
The Saskatoon Tribal Council is just one of many community organizations who volunteered to be a part of this Food Bank Garden Patch every year. This organization, in partnership with Saskatoon Public Schools, just hosted a pretty neat event aimed at young children learning more about traditional Indigenous culture and language.
We're here today to celebrate the 4th annual Indigenous Language Festival. This festival has a theme this year honoring our youth. We have students representing the 7 First Nations in Saskatoon Tribal Council, students from Saskatoon Public Schools and Greater Saskatoon Catholic Schools.
With the goal of promoting the importance of language and pride in one's culture among young people, the Saskatoon Tribal Council, in partnership with the city's public schools and Greater Catholic Schools, welcomed more than 400 students from across Saskatchewan to take part in 30 different cultural activities. From traditional hoop dancing to spear throwing, students from diverse backgrounds had the opportunity to learn hands-on about Indigenous language and culture.
Language is the foundation of who we are as people, as you are as a person, as anyone else. It represents our identity. So we work very hard to ensure that our kids are learning their language. We have celebrations around powwows, we have camps, we have science activities, whatever it is, language is always, and culture is always foundational in what we do.
Grade 8 student Ethan Bear traveled with other students from the Muskeg Lake area, approximately an hour north of Saskatoon, to be a part of this celebration. As a Cree First Nations, he's happy to see young kids learn about a topic that is valuable to his family.
Language to me is pretty important. My dad speaks it fluent. My brother speaks it pretty good. I'm still learning me. So all this stuff here, it doesn't look like much, but still it helps. It's important that little ones even people our age who hasn't done any of this traditional stuff growing up, it's important for them to know what we do and what's at stake when we could lose it.
To help create this understanding, workshop sessions took place throughout the day at Edie Fian High School. 14-year-old Bear says being in touch with his culture through various groups and extracurricular activities has led him down a positive path.
I sing round dance, sing powwow, do sacred ceremonies. It's a big part of my life, especially it kept me away from drugs. I've had friends my age who always try to force me to do drugs and stuff, but I'm too against it. It's not in my brain.
Both Bear and the organizers of the Honoring Our Youth Love Your Language Speak with Pride Indigenous Language Festival hope kids walk away from the event with a newfound respect for one another.
Might create a lot more peace. There's still a lot of racism out there, just towards me even, playing sports. And I wasn't expecting all this. I thought we were just coming here to sing, but I like it. It's good. I like to see all the kids having fun and enjoying it.
We all have to live together and respect one another. We are Canadian citizens, and so it is important for us to share who we are as people. There was a time when we weren't allowed to speak our language and exercise our cultural practices. Today, we carry a sense of pride in our identity, in our celebrations, in our language, in our culture, in our ceremonies.
To keep up to date with First Nations events and activities happening around the city, visit sktc.sk.ca. Teams are digging in here at the Food Bank Garden Patch, getting ready to plant their seeds and bulbs. I cannot wait to see what this garden looks like at the end of the season. There are so many community members here right now. Joining me right now is Cheryl and Chris, and they are from Straight Up. Cheryl, let's just start by telling the community what Straight Up is.
Straight Up is a nonprofit organization for men and women who have left the gang lifestyle and who have lived a criminal lifestyle as well.
So Straight Up, how did that help you? How did this organization change your life?
Oh, Straight Up has helped me a lot, you know, helped me get into treatment centers, helped me get my kids out of the system, helped me with referrals and advocating on my behalf with different organizations as well to get help.
Extremely meaningful. And Chris, how about you? Of course, you are a member of Straight Up as well. How has this organization helped you?
They've done a lot for me. They helped me to understand a lot of the decisions that I was making, you know, were unhealthy decisions. You know, Straight Up is a great organization, and I love working with them.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I love that you guys are out here at the Food Bank Garden Patch wanting to give back to the community. Cheryl, for you, how important or how meaningful is it that you know this food is going to help families right here in Saskatoon?
For me, it's like really important, you know, because I know people who live in poverty and have lived like the criminal lifestyle, and also having family members who are still involved in the core neighborhood, you know, and it feels really good to know that they're going to get fresh fruits and vegetables when the fall comes, you know, and that's something to really be proud of and to be helping to be a part of, you know. It's really supporting as well, encouraging. Yeah, it feels great.
It does feel great. All right. So what are your hopes and dreams for your plot this year at the Garden Patch?
I'm hoping it grows prosperous.
Fair enough. And what do you hope for community members to learn about this Garden Patch and the cause that it goes towards?
I'm hoping that people like get the sense of, you know, like giving back, you know, it's for myself, you know, when I lived the lifestyle, I took so much from the community, and now it feels awesome to give it back and to be in a positive lifestyle about it, you know, feels great.
I love that. That's great. And Chris, we'll finish off with you, my friend.
Sure.
What are you looking forward to? I mean, the whole community's out here wanting to help families in need through the produce that they're going to create over the season. So what are you loving about this atmosphere, this event, this garden plot?
It shows that we can come together, I guess, and you know, build a healthy plot. Yeah.
Build a healthy plot. Hey, what type of vegetables do you have going on?
I was given the onions, so I'm gonna grow some onions.
All right.
Yeah.
Have you grown produce before? Is this something new for you?
This is new, yeah.
All right.
It's new.
It's pretty exciting.
Yeah, it's all right.
All right, these guys, you can see Cheryl's got her hoe in hand, and she's actually also got her lovely daughter. What's your name?
Savior
What?
Ann.
Oh, beautiful. What's her name?
Savior Ann.
Yes, she has a beautiful name. All right, thank you so much, everyone, for being here. We'll be right back after the break.
Punch TV, it's the nerdiest show on the airwaves, featuring artists, geeks, and special guests who love comics, toys, and pop culture. Watch Punch TV only on Shaw TV.
Last year's Food Bank Garden Patch brought in more than 20,000 pounds of produce for families here in our community, so it was quite the success. It's also been quite the year for local author Dave Carpenter. After receiving a prestigious award for literary excellence, he's also received rave reviews for his latest work, as Simon Hyatt tells us in our next story.
Joseph August Morasti and David Carpenter.
The story of how Augie Morasti's life became a critically acclaimed book is almost as compelling as the book itself. For co-author David Carpenter, it included long periods of not being able to get in touch with his subject and becoming convinced he had died, before receiving a tip he was alive and in Prince Albert.
I said, you know, Augie Morasti? And the guy asked me why I wanted to know. I said, well, he's written a book. He says, you mean he really wrote a book? You see, he'd been telling people for a decade that he's writing a book, and yet they would say, yeah, sure, Augie.
That book is The Education of Augie Morasti, which tells his story of surviving a residential school. It grew out of handwritten manuscripts he would sporadically mail to Carpenter over the course of several years. The project could have been undone at any point by a number of factors, including a bear that broke into Morasti's cabin.
Came into the cabin, absolutely decimated with flour and food all over the floor and sticky stuff, and ate part of his manuscript. If that isn't the best excuse I've ever heard, I don't know what is.
Carpenter spent years transforming what he calls the jigsaw puzzle of Augie's notes into a finished product. And even though the process was often trying, giving a voice to a man who had become an alcoholic and homeless, due at least in part to what he experienced in a residential school, made it worthwhile.
Being sort of more or less in prison, being beaten, being sexually assaulted, he just about lost everything in there. And writing this book was that important to him. He had to exorcise those ghosts.
The book has attracted a great deal of attention, and when the nominees for the Saskatchewan Book Awards were unveiled earlier this year, Augie was there alongside some of the best-known authors in the province, as his story received 3 nominations. Carpenter also received the Cheryl and Henry Kloppenberg Award for Literary Excellence last fall, in part for The Education of Augie Morasti, but also his 12 other books.
You get the award for a body of work, and probably the Morasti book got people thinking about my work, and so it felt like a bit of a revival of that.
But for Carpenter, in addition to the accolades, one of the greatest things that came out of the book is the resulting change in Morasti's life. Now in his mid-80s, he has a roof over his head in a retirement home, and has reconnected with several members of his family.
I know he's still haunted, but he acts sort of like a redeemed man. And so maybe his final years are going to have some kind of sense of grace to them that he never had before.
For Go on Shaw TV, I'm Simon Hyatt.
There are more than 50 Adopt-A-Plot teams here at the Saskatoon Food Bank Garden Patch Kickoff. Joining me right now is Debbie, and she is from the Emmanuel Anglican Church. Debbie, this is a cause and an event that you've been a part of for many, many years, your church group. Why do you do this every year?
Well, Emmanuel has a team, an outreach team, and we see helping out in the community is an important part of our mandate at Emmanuel Church, and the garden plot just seemed like the best way to sort of reach out in our community around Emmanuel. So yeah, This is our 3rd year planting and harvesting at the garden plot.
Exactly, and that's why we're here today. The groups are getting their seeds and it's about to kick off the season. I'm pretty excited. This is always such a success every year. It goes towards families in need in our community. What does that mean to you when you know that this food that you put a lot of hard work into creating goes to feed these families?
Well, it's pretty exciting on Harvest Day to see all the produce that's sent to the food bank, and we know many people that make use of the food bank, and so it's a little way to pay it forward in our community.
Absolutely. Now, I saw many of your members here. What is the experience like when you come here as a group and you get to garden and you get to watch this really grow throughout the entire summer season?
Oh yes, we're here many times weeding, and it's team building as well as, you know, helping out in the community. So our outreach team is here and lots of volunteer hours, and it's just a small part of what we can do in the community to help out. So
exactly. And what about gardening? Do you like gardening? Is it relaxing for you? What about that?
Love to garden and love to play in the dirt, the soil, I guess, to see things grow, and it's very rewarding, I think, for people to learn. And Global Gathering Place at one point with some of our new families to Saskatoon also learn how to plant here, and so it's a great opportunity. So
fantastic. So what are your hopes and dreams for this year's Food Bank Garden Patch?
Well, bigger and better, I guess, and they're always experimenting with better ways to produce more product in a smaller space. So over the years I've seen it certainly double, I'm sure, but it is an exciting time, and the people here are so dedicated to, so it's been a great experience.
That you made a really good point. I mean, there's so many community organizations and groups here helping out for the Food Bank Garden Patch. So what's that atmosphere like when everyone's down here working together for a common goal?
Well, I think Saskatoon's pretty famous for its volunteer hours, and people are just excited to help out, and this is kind of a great way. Saskatoon's a beautiful place in the summer, and what better way to help out in the community than watch seeds grow and produce food for people that need some food in their houses. So
right. Just a little extra help. All right, Debbie, thank you so much. I mean, her team definitely needs her over there, so we'll let you go, and we'll be right back after the break.
Creating local TV that matters to your community. Shaw TV, your local voice.
The Food Bank Garden Patch is a great place for community members to come on down and get their hands dirty. Food bank staff and volunteers are here throughout the week, ready to give you tips on efficient gardening. But if you're already getting started at home, here are some quick tips from Jill and Rick at Dutch Growers.
We're here at Dutch Growers, and we're talking about planting your garden containers. Containers are great for the starting up the springtime, and Jill, tell us a little bit about what you do to start these planters.
Well, first of all, what we need is some good soil. We're starting with a nice soilless mix here. This is a Pro Mix soil. It's nice and light. It's going to dry evenly. Then we're going to add some height, and I've picked this beautiful croton or cordyline to add height to your container. We're just going to stick it right in the back of your container. You want to plant a little deeper than what the soil level is of the plant already. So I got that one in there. Now I'm going to add some mid-sized plants. I've chosen these beautiful lime cypress. These are great because they have some mosquito repelling properties too. They smell like citrus, and they're absolutely beautiful to add to your container. So I'm going to put one of those on each side.
Give some great color exchange there too.
One on each side here. And after we do that, then it's time to add some other fillers. Now I have this beautiful Griffin begonia, and it will get nice and big, just like these huge leaves here. And we're going to stick this one right in the front. And this just will add a little bit of fullness, and we'll finish off by adding some potato vine that's going to spill over the edge. Just soften the edges of your container. Just pull it away, stick it in the end. If you want to add some color, you can take some of these impatiens, or if it's in the sun, maybe some petunias or million bells would be great for you. And I love just how the color pops with these lime, with this nice lime. Now, Rick, we do have to do some care for these containers. So Maybe tell me a little bit about fertilizing.
Well, fertilizing is very important. If you want these plants to look gorgeous from the time they leave the greenhouse until the time when September comes in, you want to use your fertilizer. So you can start your fertilizer off with a 10-52-10. That gets the roots all started and gets them in. As soon as you have more roots, the better the plants will do. After you start that, then you're flowering. You can use a 15-30-15, or you can use a 20-20-20. And you want to do that about every 4th or 5th watering, and then that'll give lots of vibrancy and everything else. Now, one thing, if you don't want to do that, you can also use a hanging basket 14-14-14. This is a granular fertilizer. You sprinkle on the top after you're done, then it gives it a shot of fertilizer after every time you water. And so then it keeps your plants looking great, and you'll have one of the best looking containers in the whole neighborhood. Now, for those people that want it easy to do, like Jill did a nice job here of putting it all together with all the little plants. Some people don't have the time, right? So what you do is you go down to the greenhouse, you pick up a beautiful hanging basket, okay? And then you get yourself a pot, and you put your pot, and you take your plant out of the hanging basket, plant it right into the pot, and now voila, you're done. You have something that looks awesome, like it was the middle of July. So anyways, that's a great way to do it. Jill, finish up.
Add some color to your yard this summer. Have fun with it. Container gardening is something for everything. You'll be part of one of the newest trends in gardening, and come join us in the greenhouse. Come see some bright colors this spring. We're under the windmill at Dutch Growers.
Well, most of the teams have planted their seeds and are excited to see what's coming up for this year's garden patch season. Don't forget, there are so many different ways community members can get involved. For all that information, make sure you head to saskatoonfoodbank.org. Together, we can help reach this year's goal of creating more than 20,000 pounds of produce for families in need in our community. Thanks so much for joining us on today's show. I'm your host, Janella Hamilton. Happy gardening.